Hi, this is Andrew at Westchester Residential Opportunities, and this video is part of our series of videos on the basics of the fair housing laws. The normal caveats and disclaimers apply. This presentation is being prepared in April of 2020. It may not be accurate on any other date. Also, we're not providing legal advice in this video. If you need legal advice, please engage a lawyer. So today we're talking about three of the terms of art you may hear thrown around in the fair housing and real estate community. They are important terms and they have specific meanings that aren't always obvious. So let's get to it. So the first term we're going to talk about is steering. So steering is a term that means different things in different contexts, like in banking and insurance. Steering will typically refer to the predatory practice of pushing the wrong products, like a high fee or more expensive product, in order to gain the agent or the firm more profit. In fair housing, steering is slightly different. For those of you who followed Newsday's fair housing investigation on Long Island in 2019, this should sound familiar since they recorded several instances of it. In its typical form, steering involves a real estate agent pushing a potential owner or renter toward or away from a particular area based upon the demographics of the individuals or the neighborhood. So, as a prototypical example, a black couple is looking for a home in a predominantly white neighborhood, and the realtor shows them mostly houses in the neighboring neighborhood, which is predominantly black. Steering is illegal. Blockbusting is another headline term you may hear. This is a course of practice typically employed by housing professionals, persuading residents of a neighborhood that is experiencing a demographic change that they need to sell or rent their property quickly because a protected category of people is moving into the neighborhood. This also is specifically illegal under the fair housing laws. It's a little difficult to read this 1962 Saturday Evening Post clipping, but it reads in part, "In this week's Post, you'll read how speculators decide which blocks are ripe for racial change, how they use vicious tactics to force out the whites, and how one speculator brags that he could bust your block in no time at all." And the pitch that's used is basically that you need to get out now because an undesirable protected group is moving into the neighborhood and making that neighborhood less attractive, depressing real estate prices. So you need to get out now before they ruin the neighborhood. We've had this alleged more recently nearby in Rockland County, where certain areas are becoming more overwhelmingly Orthodox Jewish, and residents have accused some real estate agents of pressuring homeowners to sell their homes at reduced prices based on the threat that the influx of the Orthodox community will drive down real estate values. And the last term we'll talk about is redlining. So this map is pretty hard to read, but it's a map of Lower Westchester County. This is much like the maps of many metropolitan areas across the United States that were created starting in the 1930s by the Homeowners Loan Corporation. These maps were designed to tell banks which neighborhoods were safe to lend to, and insurance companies which neighborhoods to insure. It divides the region into neighborhoods categorized based on best, still desirable, declining, and hazardous. And hazardous, well, that's the red areas, and you guessed it, that's where all the black people live. So the term redlining was born of these maps with actual red areas around the neighborhoods that were predominantly black and brown, or becoming so. Nowadays, we use redlining to refer to similar conduct, basically any systematic denial of services in which a lender or insurer provides unequal access to credit or insurance because of the characteristics of the residents of the neighborhood in which the property to be mortgaged or insured is located. This too is illegal. So thanks for joining us today. WRO's Fair Housing Department is actively engaged in community education and outreach to make sure housing providers and the public understand the fair housing laws. And WRO actively investigates compliance with the law. We analyze zoning laws and building policies, and we test housing providers. And when appropriate, WRO brings enforcement actions against providers who break the law. Thanks again for watching our video. If you're aware of housing discrimination, please reach out to us to report it. As we're creating this video during the pandemic, we're not currently in the office. The easiest way to reach us is by email. We have a staff directory on our website. You can see that address up on the screen. Email anyone in the Fair Housing Department, we'll get right back to you. And while you're visiting that website, please take a moment to support WRO by clicking the donate button. Housing is always essential, and we're here to help. Like, subscribe, and share this video, and please follow us on social media.